superbike race then. The front row of the grid, Paul Lewis, the Australian on the Skull Bandit Suzuki, was fastest. Next to him, Roger Marshall, Roger Burnett, Trevor Nation, and John Swingler, a local boy, who in fact is the man who holds the 1300cc lap record after the first meeting here at the New Length Donington circuit. Straining at the leash, all eyes on the traffic light start. This over 10 laps, and Swingler amongst the others keen to get away, and finally the lights do change, and off they go. And it looks as though it's Roger Burnett, number 9, on the right of the picture, and his teammate Roger Marshall, number 11, who are going to take the lead. And it is Burnett and Marshall first and second. And you can see there people having all sorts of problems on the exit and the apex of the Redgate bend, coming down into Craner curves now on the first lap. The rain sleeting down across the Donington Park circuit, and Burnett is the race leader, Roger Marshall in second spot. And the roar of this mixed 2-stroke and 4-stroke class roars out.
I should be happy when the first lap's over, because they can get some heat into their tyres. It's so difficult to get the wet tyres to get any traction until you get some temperature into them. So once the first lap's over, then they're over the worst bit.
So Burnett leads, Roger Marshall in second spot, and Barry Sheen there quite rightly concerned about the effects of what will happen. Stephen Veazey is the man there in third spot. Stephen Veazey, a man well known in the ranks of club and national riders, and he's charged through from well down. He was on the 4th row of the grid, into the S's.
Someone straight on.
And two people straight on. Well, they wanted to go on the old circuit. They decided the new one wasn't really... And no, somebody else goes down the slip road. Well, oh dear, dear, dear. That was very naughty indeed, Barry.
Well, I think what it is, it's a new circuit to virtually everybody. And that just with the old circuit, you get a mental note where you should brake, and they're just sort of rearranging their mental notes at the moment.
And the change out in front, because Roger Marshall has gone ahead of Roger Burnett, so the Rothmans Honda Britain duo out in front. Stephen Veazey still there in third place on the big 4-stroke. Veazey will be well pleased with this. A good ride from the Kawasaki rider, sponsored by Myers Motors. There he is in the picture. Well, the big 4-stroke, nice torque job, would you say, for here, Barry?
Well, no, I was just... He beat me to it, actually. What I was going to say is the 4-strokes don't give you the advantage that they used to, because they're very peaky power-wise. And you see, he's just getting the power on, and she breaks away, and that's just as it comes into the power band, you see. So, it's very difficult conditions, as I said.
Well, Stephen Veazey's moment of glory disappears in the most spectacular fashion at Redgate as down he goes. And that leaves Roger Marshall, this man 5 times the British champion, bike number 11. A very experienced man. He's got a handful there really with teammate Roger Burnett. Definitely no team orders with this pair. Burnett has beaten Marshall, or he beat him at the end of last year. He beat him at the first meeting this year, and with £1,000 at stake to the overall winner, I'm sure Roger would like to do the same again. The front two men pull well clear.
I'm sure, well, Roger Burnett last year was the first year he was with Honda, and prior to that he'd ridden Suzuki's quite a long time, and the difference between the two bikes is quite extreme, because the Honda is a 3-cylinder bike, and the characteristics of the power are totally different. So this year I think you'll see Roger Burnett go in his true fashion, because he's used to the bikes, and it takes quite a lot of getting used to.
Well, of course, you've got a lot of faith in the lad. You gave him his big break, didn't you?
Well, you know, as far as I'm concerned, he's my hot tip. He rides with a lot of sense. He doesn't ride with his heart, he rides with his head. So I think he'll go a long way.
And round Goddard Corner to complete the second lap. Roger Marshall, Roger Burnett in second spot. And the moment is is 119. That's John Swingler, local boy from Nottingham, having a very good ride, and Steve Parrish through to 4th place.
It's quite funny with Steve because he used to hate the wet, and the beginning of last year, or rather the end of 1984, he got some good results in the rain, and riding in the rain is all about confidence. Obviously, if you throw the thing down the road 5 times in a row, then you're not going to feel too happy about riding in it. But Steve's got his act together now, hasn't he?
So 4th place at the moment, number 6 Steve Parrish, just behind him, 149. Howard Selby, the talented Scotsman of the Suzuki, and Kenny Irons, one of the transatlantic challenge men, like Steve Parrish and Marshall and Burnett, sitting there nicely in 7th place behind Selby.
To see Kenny Irons, he's taking it really well, not cautiously, but he's
less than 1.5 laps underneath the back straight, underneath the Dunlop Bridge. There you see the gap between the 1st and 2nd men.
The nice thing for Roger Marshall in having Roger Burnett behind him, he knows Roger Burnett really well, and he knows that Roger Burnett is not going to do a banzai effort and come howling up the inside of the hairpin with both wheels locked and his eyes shut. So that's a definite consideration when you're in conditions like this. You think, oh dear, you come up to the hairpin, you're gritting your teeth, just a glimpse over the shoulder, you think, oh.
Yes, we've seen that happen more than once here.
Yeah, yeah, really.
So Burnett and Marshall the leader, coming round to complete his 9th lap. The 10th and final circuit then, and again to the naked eye that gap appears to be shorter, but that's the television lens, I think, foreshortening the gap, or maybe it's not. No, it's not. Half a second off. The stopwatch does fly. Roger Marshall and Roger Burnett has got him within his sights. He's got about 2 miles now left around this Donington Park circuit to catch his friend and teammate, the 2 Rogers, Marshall in front, Burnett behind.
It's nice actually because there's no back markers by the looks of it in front of them. So, he says, because as I say, you know, you can ride really hard and get it all ruined for you in one fell swoop.
And just a quick look behind, still John Swingler in 3rd place, Steve Parrish in 4th spot. And you can see Burnett is closer. He's getting closer and closer. Now, are we in for a grandstand finish?
It's an awful lot to make up. It really is. I mean, it doesn't look that much, but it's a definite struggle.
There's a tail ender in the way as they go into the S's. 2 of them, in fact. No problems, though. Marshall's going to just zap past them down the short downhill straight. And Burnett, in fact, might be the one who gets into trouble on the corner. Marshall is through round Melbourne hairpin for the last time. And Burnett is right behind him, but he's not going to have enough time. It's going to be a desperately close thing, because Marshall, of course, has no idea that Burnett is closing. And Burnett is going to make a final sprint to the line, and they're going to sprint to the leg. But Marshall is the winner. Roger Burnett. Roger Marshall the winner. Roger Burnett takes 2nd place, and Burnett got so close. Let's have a quick look at the leaderboard as it stands. Roger Burnett, the race leader. Trevor Nation in 2nd place. Roger Marshall 3rd. John Swingler is 4th. In 5th spot is Julian Scott. In 6th place is Paul Lewis now. 7th is Neil Robinson. And in 8th place is Brian Morrison.
I would imagine that Trevor Nation's got a full wet tyre on the back of his bike, because it's starting to sort of wriggle around quite a lot at the back. And if that's the case, let's hope it was a new wet tyre before the start, because once the tread gets really torn up, it's like riding on marbles. And
a change in 2nd place, because Marshall has just got a machine's length ahead of Trevor Nation as they go into the S's. And Marshall, he's given it a go. There is the gap between this man, Roger Burnett, and 2nd place man, Marshall. You can just see a glimpse of Marshall Just a few yards behind.
As you were saying, Roger is trying really hard, Roger Marshall. When he came into Redgate Corner, the one after the start and finish before, you could actually see the back wheel of the bike coming off the ground, and that in the rain to break that hard is quite a struggle.
Well, Roger Burnett hasn't got time to go wheeling because Roger Marshall is right with him. Trevor Nation goes through. There's John Swingler in 4th place. With Marshall breathing down Roger Burnett's neck, and of course if Marshall can win this one, then no matter what, well, it obviously depends on where Marshall finishes tomorrow, but oh dear, first of all he's got to finish this race. Marshall winner of the first leg, Burnett in 2nd place. The position's reversed at the moment, but if they can finish like this, then it would give all to play for in the 3rd and final race. £250 for a race win, £1,000 to the overall point scorer at the end of it all.
Roger Marshall's trying really hard to catch Roger Burnett, and in doing so, what he's doing is sort of really tearing his back tyre up. That's why you can see he's having a lot of trouble with the back end of the bike, so that when Roger gets past the other Roger...
And he is past. I think Marshall's ahead, but Burnett will have the better line going into the S's. And they're going to lean on each other. Oh, and Roger Burnett almost brought down there by his teammate. Well, they are friends, and very good friends.
They were friends.
And Roger Burnett will have a go on the inside. Dear, they will only go to bring each other off. Burnett physically prevented Marshall then from laying the bike over. There was no ifs and buts about it.
Yeah, as I was saying, they were friends. I can't believe they go so hard at one another. It's
just think what they would have been like if they didn't like each other.
Yeah, incredible.
Trevor Nation still there in 3rd spot. Burnett, Marshall, and they're side by side. Well, they were side by side. Marshall's gone into the lead, and Burnett's looking for the inside line again. The tighter line is not necessarily the best one. They're absolutely side by side, and Burnett drifts out over. Oh, and he got very skittish there. Burnett, the leader, 26 years of age. He used to work for the man behind him, Roger Marshall, 5 times British champion. They're both Rothman's Honda Britain riders, and they are the best of friends. They knock around together, and you wouldn't know it from the way they're racing. It's the classic case, though, really. Roger Marshall has been the king of the Rothman's Honda Britain squad for a couple of years. He's won everything that he had to win, and Roger Burnett last year was the apprentice. Oh, and that was a nasty moment. Roger Marshall senses the fact that Burnett's in trouble as well. Burnett still ahead.
It should be interesting going into the S's just before you get on the new circuit.
And Marshall almost on the grass, and Marshall's gone for the inside line, and he has to sneak in behind Roger Burnett. And Marshall is feeling confident. Big wheelies he puts on the power, and Burnett tries to close the gap on the inside, and Marshall is very fast. They're coming round. This will be the checkered flag. This is the last lap. The climb up the hill. Still Burnett, but Marshall's right behind. It's going to be muck or nettles here. And here they come into sight.
Oh,
Roger Marshall's so close. He wound the power and he almost went off, and he managed to control it. So Roger Burnett, the winner. Roger Marshall. Roger Burnett looks over his shoulder just to see where his pal is. The thumbs up, and Roger nods and indicates with and they shake hands. Well, they're happy with it, and with every reason. That was a tremendous and dramatic race. Roger Burnett the winner, Roger Marshall in 2nd place.
Now on lap 3 with Roger Burnett in 3rd place, trailing Roger Marshall and Trevor Nation, the leader.
Here comes Roger Marshall on the charge. Reg, as he is known by his friends and acquaintances. And that helps to distinguish him between the other Roger. Roger Marshall, Roger Burnett. Roger Marshall known as Reg to his buddies. And Reg is pursuing Trevor Nation and has definitely closed the gap. And of course, Burnett has now got to quicken his pace to catch Marshall. Whichever man finishes in front of the other, irrespective of the place in the race, will win the £1,000 first prize. Trevor Nation is a very underrated rider, Barry.
He is. I was just thinking he's come on leaps and bounds. He used to ride sort of bikes cobbled together. Looks like he'd stolen out of someone's scrapyard. And now he's got some decent machinery. He's coming up with some good results.
And he's looking much smarter, and the whole team is very professional. All credit to Trevor Nation, then. Sponsored by the new garage at Salisbury, and holding on to the factory machines of Roger Marshall and Roger Burnett.
You see, in the Hondas that both the Rogers are on will be a lot easier to ride in these conditions because this three-cylinder engine's a lot smoother power than this is.
Steve Parrish being pressured by John Swingler. That really is an excellent ride once again by John Swingler. He's been one of the stars of this weekend, Mary. Just a privateer from nearby Nottingham, a club racer, basically.
Well, somebody that no one's really ever heard of. And I was watching him yesterday and this morning in the warm-up, and he's very, very smooth. And after all said and done, that's what it's about at the end of the day. In conditions like this, you've got to be smooth.
And Roger Marshall has gone ahead of Trevor Nation as they complete the fourth lap in this 10-lap battle. Marshall, number 11, 5 times the British champion, out in front. Trevor Nation in second place, Roger Burnett third. In fourth position at the moment is Paul Lewis, fifth is Steve Parrish, sixth is John Swingler, seventh is Neil Robinson, eighth is Julian Scott, another young man moving out of the club ranks. There is Paul Lewis in fourth place. Trevor Nation in second place. Marshall there. There's the first three, Roger Marshall, Trevor Nation and Roger Burnett. Burnett closing on Nation now. But here's the battle coming down the back straight underneath the bridge. Paul Lewis is there. Parrish still being pressured by John Swingler. What a fine ride it is. And behind him is another young man, Julian Scott, on his Superstock Suzuki. And Julian Scott, in fact, was the man who caught me out on Saturday. And Scott, now you see him 132, just going out to your picture. There's Steve Parrish, number 6, ahead of 119, John Swingler.
They're pulling Paul Lewis in a little bit as well, so it should be quite interesting if they all get together.
Little twitch there from the back tyre of John Swingler's machine, just reminding him that it's still damp out there. And John Swingler, sponsored by a number of Nottingham motorcycle firms, Twist Grip and
Roger Burnett's up into second now, so in the next couple of laps, if he starts to haul Roger Marshall in, then we could be in for some fireworks. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if he has a go for a couple of laps to see if he can pull Roger Marshall back. And if he can't, he's a sensible enough guy just to sort of settle down and leave it.
3.6 seconds the gap between Roger Marshall and Roger Burnett, first and second. £1,000 at stake to whoever wins this particular duel. It doesn't matter where they finish in the race, but whoever wins, Marshall or Burnett, will win £1,000 for overall victory in the Superbike series. But of course, Roger Burnett is leading in the Transatlantic Points Challenge, and there's £5,000 for that. And that's 5,000 very good reasons for not falling.
Well, yeah, that's it. If I was Roger, I'd have a go for a couple of laps, and if I could peg the other Roger in, go for it. If not, just settle down. I'm sure he is thinking about the £5 grand. It's got any sense. It's a good little earner.
Oh, and not only have they caught Paul Lewis, they've passed him, and Julian Scott as well has got past. So Paul Lewis at the back of this group, which is Steve Parrish, John Swingler. 132 is Julian Scott, number 2 Paul Lewis, into the S's. Well, we've raved about John Swingler, and so we should. There's Steve Parrish in the picture. In second place is 119 John Swingler, but behind him 132 Julian Scott. Fourth in the Marlborough 350 Production Championship last year, Barry, and now on a rather different motorcycle and riding very nicely.
Well, it is. The Marlborough Production Championship was a good way to bring people on, and as you can see, it hasn't done this guy any harm, because the thing that he's washing his back wheel, then it's pattering really badly, so I don't know whether he's got some kind of problem or he just had the brakes locked up. I think Paul Lewis had engine trouble or something, because he's dropped right back, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him pack up.
So Steve Parrish there, bike number 6, is in 4th position at the moment. 5th is John Swingler, 6th Julian Scott, 7th is Neil Robinson, and in fact, as Barry predicted, you're almost a Murray Walker. Into the pits comes Paul Lewis.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Chris.
I don't think he's given up hopes of passing either Swingler ahead of him or Steve Parrish, who's 2 men in front of him.
The thing that's impressed me the most this weekend, the young up-and-coming guys seem to be really using their head, which is quite unusual, because usually...
There is Roger Marshall, who's the race leader. Where is Burnett now? And there is Roger Burnett in the background there. We'll run the stopwatch. Marshall coming into Gollards, where the new circuit meets the old one. And down goes Roger. Roger Marshall takes a tumble.
That's a really tricky place there, because you come off the new circuit with a good grip, and then you just put in the power on, and you come off the good grip onto the old track where the grip is nowhere near as good, and I'm sure that's what caught Roger out.
And a chance to see the replay again. Marshall,
you see, Roger had problems there going in, and there's the track change there, and the wheel breaks away as soon as it's broken away now, actually. You can just see just starting to come round. It seemed like it broke away, and then he caught it again, and then it went again, and that was the end of the story. Oh, nasty.
A nasty fall. Roger Marshall went down hard, and that's sad to see, but he looks to be okay. And that means that Roger Burnett is now the new race leader, and he doesn't really have to do anything. He could finish almost anywhere in the race and finish and grab the £1,000 for overall victory. But I know Roger Burnett very well indeed, as you do, Barry, and that is the last way he'd like to win £1,000.
Oh, for sure, because as we said before, both the Rogers are good friends. It was interesting where Roger Marshall fell off. The problem actually started going into the corner, because you could see the bike wriggle a little bit, and then he got in trouble halfway through and got out of it, and then got back in trouble again, and it bit him.
So Roger Burnett out in front. Roger Marshall sidelined after the machine broke away, then spat him off.
This is wonderful fun here. So with Marshall sadly out of that race, Roger Burnett went on to win it and the championship and the £1,000 first prize that went with it. The news about Marshall is that the ambulanceman took no chances. He was whisked away to hospital with spinal bruising, we understand. He's been detained for observation, but there's nothing broken, and I'm happy to report nothing serious. Right.